So we finally made it to Madrid. We're here in the hotel. We arrived early in the morning. We had an overnight flight. We got into the airport at 6:20 in the morning, and then by the time the lines at immigration were just crazy, and you had to show COVID tests and COVID cards and everything. And by the time we were out of the airport, it was almost 9 a.m. And we wound up getting to the hotel by about 9:30. It's a very nice hotel. We're at the Westin Palace. It's actually quite an expensive hotel, but we're not paying for it. We're getting it on points. And because I have a good elite status with the Marriott hotels, they upgraded us to a junior suite. And so basically for no money at all, we got a junior suite at the Westin Palace. Now this would probably normally cost about $600–700 a night, but we're not paying that. We're paying zero. It's really relaxing. We went out and had breakfast. We're now getting ready to probably collapse on the bed for maybe an hour or two so that we can then get up and walk around Madrid. The one thing we need in order to adjust to the Madrid time zone after we get here from the USA, we usually need to take our siesta. So we sleep maybe only 3 or 4 hours at night because we can't quite get the schedule internally right. And then we take a nap from normally about 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And so that gets us caught up on our sleep, and eventually we wind up making it into Spain time. And I think we're going to do that now, but we might take our siesta a little early today because both Young and I are pretty exhausted from the flight. Evening time in Madrid is the best. People walk around, they stroll, they go until 9 or 10 at night. As you can see, it stays light pretty late. This is a really safe town. There's very little violent crime. The most kind of crime they have is smash and grab. And people, they walk their dogs. The old couples, they go and they walk each other. It's a great place, and it's really relaxing. It's a wonderful thing to do in the evening. Whenever we stay in Spain, we love to have breakfast at our hotels. Now, luckily, I have status with Hyatt, with Hilton, and with Marriott, which means whenever we get a room at any of those hotels, they give us breakfast with the room. Particularly here in Madrid at the Westin Palace, their breakfasts are pretty spectacular. And so we see no reason to have breakfast anywhere else. As long as it's available to us here at the Palace, we're going to have our breakfast here. You'll see they have this extravagant buffet, all the coffee you can drink, all the juices you want, and eggs, and they usually have churros, and they have all kinds of pastries, and we are going to pig out for all 5 days that we're here. Crepes. Pancakes and waffles, and maple syrup. They also have honey straight from the honeycomb. All kinds of homemade jams and fresh fruit. Okay, they usually have something like some kind of yogurt somewhere, and these are toppings to put on yogurts and cereals and milk. There's lots of fruits, there's lots of nuts. There's fig, it's potatoes and dumplings. Tomatoes, the Spanish tomatoes are delicious. And of course, fried potatoes. Wild pork. And of course, there are a lot of English tourists here in Madrid, so they love their beans and their sausage for breakfast. And of course, eggs and bacon for the Americans. For breakfast, and fresh tomatoes with fresh mozzarella, as well as manchego cheese. You love the cheese, and jamon, Young's jamon. She loves jamon. This is just an Iberico jamon. It's not a bellota like what we had last night, but it's still a good jamon. We've got your tortilla española, wonderful snack, but they also have it for breakfast. And of course, churros. You never go wrong with churros, especially if they have a nice cup of hot chocolate, which you can get from the kitchen here. And then they have burgers, just in case you want a burger for breakfast. And of course, all the bread in Spain is just wonderful. A lot of it is homemade, but even when you just get it out of the package, it's very fresh. It looks like they have some bread up here with some raisins in it, and that could be good. Plus, they just have the packaged bread of every kind. You'll notice their bread here has a lot more texture to it. Okay, there's lots of fish here. They have hummus there. That's an interesting little addition I haven't seen before. Then they have all the fresh salmon or the smoked salmon. Eggs, you can make yourself a nice salad. You can make yourself a nice poke if you want. Fresh tomatoes. Then they have the yogurt I was talking about. They have 4 or 5 different kinds of yogurt. It looks like this yogurt here is made fresh here. And then they've got packaged yogurt if you just want the kind you're used to. And then they have the muesli, Bircher muesli. You don't see this much in the US, but all over Europe and Asia you see a lot of Bircher muesli. And that's a good, nice, healthy, substantial breakfast. They have 2 smoothies available. One has strawberry and watermelon. The other has green apple, avocado, spinach, and coconut water. Breakfast buffet in Spain be without the pastries. And their pastries here aren't spectacular quality, but they still have a lot of them, and some of them are quite good. And I plan on making a meal out of all of them. Those are macarons.
Oh, macarons.
Uh-huh. Croissants, pain chocolat,
Oh, I love
fresh donuts, rosquillas. Yeah. And of course they have some breads with nuts and fruits. At last they have the fresh juices and waters that they replenish all morning. So I decided to start my breakfast off this morning with some of their fresh fruits here, and the fruits are all very sweet, and they have that fresh homemade yogurt, which I love when I can get it. So I don't make it at home. I probably should, but too much work. So basically they have a nice, it's creamy, it's not quite so tangy because it's so fresh. It's a great homemade yogurt. I'm dipping the fruits in it. I got some grapes, I got some watermelon, got myself some pears. Really, really good. They brought café con leche, Spanish coffee. They make really strong coffee, and about 2/3 of the cup is poured with coffee, and 1/3 of the cup is milk, and it's really rich tasting, and it's got a nice strong coffee flavor. Delicious. And whenever I'm in Spain, I love to get orange juice because the orange juice here is almost all fresh squeezed. Oranges, Valencia oranges are from Valencia, Spain. And so the orange juice is always fresh, it's always delicious.
My coffee.
And our waiter brought us a Latte Macchiato, which is a layered coffee that they make here. If you see, they got the foam milk on top, they got strong coffee in the middle, and then this is probably just a heavier milk down at the bottom. In this video, Young is the official latte blender. One thing I have to get whenever I'm in Spain, it's a classic breakfast food from the south of Spain, from the Barcelona and Malaga areas. It's called Pantomate, and that is you take some of their elemental bread and you toast it, you put tomato jam on it, a little bit of olive oil on that, usually you rub it with a clove of garlic, and you may put some flake salt on top of it. This is just a classic breakfast that I have to have whenever I'm in Spain. It takes advantage of the really tasty Spanish tomatoes, and it's wonderful. with some Valencia orange juice. So Young and I were just talking. We really like this buffet because everything here is high quality. Their fruits, you know, Spain, especially in the summer, gets really hot and dry. And so their fruits get super ripe. That's why the figs are so ripe. The grapes are wonderful. The cherries, we saw the lady yesterday selling cherries and apricots on the street, and she was saying how sweet they were. Well, we just tasted the cherries on this bar, and they were delicious. Really sweet, really good cherries. The fruits are just wonderful here. And everything here is homemade. The homemade yogurt, the homemade breads, everything's delicious. This is just heaven when it comes to breakfast.
It was really heavy.
Yeah.
Everything was so tasty.
Yes.